Walking to Karbala, from Najaf to Karbala. Walking to Karbala, from Najaf to Karbala. I'll give my life and soul just to get to Karbala. Let's go, brother, to the land of Abba Abdullah.
Hussein,
Go and pack your bags, let's reach the land of Karbala.
Hussein, Hussein.
We cannot be late, we must go and catch our flight. Soon we'll be under the dome of Karbala's great night.
Oh, this is Arabaeen. Let's go do the Arabaeen. This is Arabaeen. Let's go do the Arabaeen of our Imam Hussein. Let's perform the Arabaeen. Walking to Karbala, from Najaf to Karbala. Walking to Karbala, from Najaf to Karbala. I'll give my life and soul just to get to Karbala. Come and let us visit our first beloved Imam
Hussein,
to ask him for our safety through the path of Islam.
Hussein, Hussein.
The start of our journey, we walk past Wadi Salam. This is the biggest graveyard in the whole of mankind. Oh, walk, walk, brother, walk. Don't get tired, you can walk. Walk, walk, brother, walk. Don't get tired, you can walk. The angels do record, and God will give us reward. Walking to Karbala, from Najaf to Karbala. Walking to Karbala, from Najaf to Karbala. I'll give my life and soul just to get to Karbala.
Look at all of these servants of Imam al-Hussein,
Hussein,
giving water to the walkers of he who was slain.
Hussein, Hussein.
In the whole world, this is the most generous event. People, let us stay with them so that we can lament.
Oh, thank you, oh Allah, for this blessing, oh Allah. Thank you, oh Allah, for this blessing, oh Allah. For my heart to be near, so close to our Amir. Walking to Karbala, from Najaf to Karbala. Walking to Karbala, from Najaf to Karbala. I'll give my life and soul just to get to Karbala. Did you know every step we take gives us big blessings?
Hussein,
1,000 deeds we get and 1,000 remove sins.
Hussein, Hussein.
We have now reached the blessed land of our third leader. We entered in the land of heaven of our teacher. Oh, Labbaik Ya Hussein, I am here for you, Hussein. Labbaik Ya Hussein, I am here for you, Hussein. Every year, inshallah, I'll come walking to Hussein. Walking to Karbala, from Najaf to Karbala. Walking to Karbala, from Najaf to Karbala. I'll give my life and soul just to get to Karbala.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We have now reached Arabaeen, and for the past 40 days we have been remembering the tragedy of Karbala and everything that happened to Imam Hussein and his family. And so if you remember, after the death of Imam Hussein on the day of Ashura, the women and children of his household, they were taken as prisoners and they were kept as captives in Sham, is in Damascus. Right? So, and even after doing all of that, the oppressors and tyrants, they wanted to get rid of the memory of Ashura. They didn't want anybody to know about what happened in Karbala and what happened after that and all of that. But Sayyidah Zainab, she did not allow this to happen. Right? So if you remember, we talked about how Sayyidah Zainab would try to spread the message of Imam Hussein as much as possible. She told everyone about what happened on the day of Ashura and the sacrifice that Imam Hussein made. Right? And that is why today, we know the message of Imam Hussein and we know exactly what happened in Karbala. And so today, for today's talk, we'll look at Arabaeen. We'll look at what Arabaeen is all about and what happens on this day, especially in Karbala. Right? But before we get started, I'll do a quick recap of things that you might have learned during these past few months of Muharram and Safar. They're very simple and easy questions. So first one, Imam Hussein was martyred on the dash of Muharram, and this day is known as the day of. So he was martyred on the 10th of Muharram, and this day is known as the day of Ashura. Next one. After Imam Hussein was martyred, the women and children were taken as captives to Kufa and Sham, right? Right. Sayyida Dash and Imam Dash reported the events of Ashura to as many people as they could. It was Sayyida Zainab and Imam Zain al-Abidin, right? They are the ones who reported the events as much as they could, right? So, all right, let's get into our topic for today. So the day of Arabaeen is on the 20th of Safar, right? And this marks 40 days after the day of Ashura. And so, the day of Ashura was when the Battle of Karbala took place. And so 40 days after that is 20th of Safar, which is known as the day of Arba'een. And so this Arabic word Arba'een, it really translates into 40, right? So the 40th day. And so the traditional period of mourning in Islamic culture is 40 days. And that's why millions of people around the world, they mark the day of Arba'een by remembering the tragedy of Imam Hussein and his family and his companions. And this day of Arba'een, it also marks the day when the captives, that is the family of Imam Hussein, that were held as prisoners, they were finally released and they were able to walk back to Medina, but they first stopped in the city of Karbala to mourn and perform ziyarah of Imam Hussein and all the martyrs of Karbala. And so to following that and to mark this, historic event of Arba'een, every year, millions of people they from all around the world they make their way to the city of Karbala, which is where Imam Hussein is buried and where we have this shrine of Imam Hussein. Millions of people go there to perform ziyarah on the day of Arba'een. And if you remember, during the first 10 days of Muharram, we learned about ziyarah. We learned about what ziyarah meant and what ziyarah really is. So here I'll just quickly remind you, we have ziyarah of two types, right? One is where you physically travel to visit the holy shrines of the Ahlul Bayt, right? So such as when people go to visit the shrine of Imam Hussein, that is, they are physically traveling to do ziyarah. And the second one is where you send salams to the Ahlul Bayt from anywhere in the world, right? Which is what we do daily. We recite a ziyarah every day at home, and in Imam Bargas after every majlis we recite a ziyarah. So that is the second form of ziyarah, and you can do this from anywhere in the world. And so to perform the ziyarah of the Masumin it's very important and it carries a lot of sawab, right? But most of all, doing the ziyarah and visiting the shrine of Imam Hussein in Karbala, that has been given the most importance. And this has started from a very long time ago, from as soon as Imam Hussein was martyred. Because the first person that visited Imam Hussein and came for his ziyarah was Jabir ibn Abdullah al-Ansari. He was the first person to come to Karbala and pay his respects to Imam Hussein as soon as after he was martyred. Jabir, he was a very well-known companion of the Holy Prophet, and he came from Medina all the way to Karbala just to visit Imam Hussein and to perform his ziyarah. And it's also said that by this time he had lost both of his eyes. So he was blind, but he still made that journey. He came all the way from Medina just to perform ziyarah of Imam Hussein. And in this journey, he didn't perform this journey alone. He also had another companion with him. Another younger companion who was a very learned and respectable companion as well. So they came for the ziyarah of Imam Hussein, and they were the first ones. And so, like I said, the ziyarah of Imam Hussein, it's been given a lot of importance. It's one of the most important ziyarahs that we have. Here, we have a hadith of Imam Jafar Sadiq who says that if one of our Shias goes for Imam Hussein alayhi salam's ziyarah, then he will not return, but all his sins will be forgiven. And for every step that he or his mount takes, 1,000 virtues are written for him, 1,000 sins are forgiven, and his status is elevated by 1,000 degrees. This shows you the importance of the ziyarah of Imam Hussein, right? You have so much benefits, so many of your sins are forgiven, and you are able to elevate your spiritual self as well. And so there are special occasions when it is especially recommended to visit the grave of Imam Hussein. And one of them is on the day of Arabaeen. Visiting the grave, going to Karbala on Arabaeen is extremely important, and it's something that every one of us, every true believer should try and do at least once in our lifetimes, because it is such a such an important thing. And that is why we see that on Arba'een, millions of people from all around the world, they go to Imam Hussein, they go to Karbala on Arba'een. And so something really amazing happens in Karbala on Arba'een. And this is every year. Not only do millions of people from around the world, they make their way to Karbala to visit the shrine of Imam Hussein, but most of these people, they make this journey by foot. So people, they basically walk all the way from the city of Najaf, from the shrine of Imam Ali. They walk from there all the way to Karbala to the shrine of Imam Hussein. Right? And this entire journey from Najaf to Karbala is done walking. And this is a long journey. It's a journey of around 80 kilometers, and it usually takes people around 3 to 4 days to reach Karbala on the day of Arba'een. So they start off a couple of days before Arba'een from Najaf, and then they walk all the way to Karbala to make sure that on the day of Arba'een they are in Karbala. And so this act of walking it's an act of service to Imam Hussein, and it's also an imitation of how the family of the Imam they walked to Karbala after they were released from their prison in Damascus. Right, so now I'll play some short video clips where I'll show you what actually happens in this walk. These video clips, they are from when I was able to go for ziyarah and take part in this walk from Najaf to Karbala. So just a few clips which will show you what it's really like. And this is from a few years ago, so it is quite old, but it'll give you an insight into what happens. So the gathering in Karbala over the period of Arba'een, it's considered as one of the world's largest annual peaceful gathering. People, they walk day and night in peace. There are men, women, and children of all ages and health conditions that take part in this walk. You'll see kids, you'll see babies, there'll be people in wheelchairs, people will be walking barefoot. You'll also find people in walking sticks, etc. So, there are different kinds of people, and this is exactly what Imam Hussein's caravan looked like as well. He also had men, women, and children of all ages. And in this walk, you will see some beautiful examples of generosity and selflessness. Selflessness is when we put others before ourselves, and Islam teaches us to be selfless. Islam teaches us to care for others before we care for ourselves, and this is exactly what you see in this walk, where people are endlessly serving each other. 'Cause there are about 20 to 25 million people that are walking towards the shrine of Imam Hussein, and no one has to worry about food or water for hundreds of miles because everything that they need is prepared for them by volunteers. There are many people that set up different stops to provide these visitors of Imam Hussein with food, with water, with shelter, and all other kinds of help. And so, in this entire 80-kilometer journey, you won't find a moment where you desire food or water and it isn't given to you. And so, there are people that are, willing to do anything that you need during this walk. The people of Iraq, they even set up houses and tents that are called mokabs, where you can rest and sleep for the night so that you are able to continue on to your walk on the next day. And none of this is paid for. They don't accept any payment for the shelter or the food and water that they give. It is really just people taking care of each other in their love for Imam Hussein. And it's considered a great honor. So this really gives us a beautiful example of selflessness because the people of Iraq, they save up for the whole year just so that they can serve others when the time of Arba'een comes. And this is not only done by adults, but also by children of all ages can be seen, serving others however they can. And it's not only food and water, but you'll also find medical camps that are set up where doctors from around the world come to volunteer their services to all the visitors of Imam Hussein in case anyone needs any help. In fact, you don't even have to worry about your feet getting tired because people are offering to massage your feet and to help you out. So in this, and so here you can see, people are also, repairing bags. There'll be people repairing shoes. So any kind of help that you need is available during this walk, and it's all voluntary. So it doesn't matter on this Arabaeen walk where you're from or who you are. Everyone is treated the same because everyone here is a visitor of Imam Hussein, and all of these services are purely out of love for Imam Hussein. All right, so hopefully that gave you an opportunity to look at what happens on this walk from Najaf to Karbala if you haven't um, been there before. But so we are not able to go to Karbala this year, right? But we can send our salams, our love and allegiance to Imam Hussein through the recitation of ziyarah. And there's a very special ziyarah that is recited on the day of Arba'een. And this ziyarah is part of a hadith that Imam Hassan al-Askari, who was our 11th Imam, has said. Imam Hassan al-Askari, he has given us 5 signs that tell us how a true believer can be recognized. Right? And from these 5 signs, one of the signs is to recite Ziyarat Arba'een. And so let me just go through the 5 signs of a true believer that our 11th Imam tells us. The first one is that a true believer recites 51 rakas of salah daily. And so we have 17 rakas that are wajib, that all of us recite every day, and then we have 34 rakas that are mustahab, they are recommended. Right? So someone who recites all 51 rakas daily is considered as a true believer. And the second one, like I said, is reciting the ziyarah of Imam Hussein on Arba'een. That is one of the signs of a true believer. So it shows you the importance of Ziyarat Arba'een, and you should be reciting it. The third sign is that a true believer wears an akik ring on the right hand. The fourth is that perform sujood on earth, right? So when we do sajda, we do it on sajdaga, right? So which is earth. So that's one of the signs. And the fifth sign of a true believer is that recite Bismillah loudly in every salah. Right, so these are the 5 signs of a true believer, and one of them is to recite Ziyarat Arba'een. All right, so that is our topic for today. Now we'll go into a quick activity. Let's get started. The first question is, the day of Arba'een is on the 10th of Muharram, the 10th of Safar, the 20th of Muharram, or the 20th of Safar. So the day of Arba'een is on 20th of Safar. Right? All right. So next question. Imam Jafar as-Sadiq has said that if one of our Shia goes for the ziyarat of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, for every step that he takes, dash sins are forgiven. How many sins are forgiven for every step? 1,000 sins are forgiven. Right? All right, next one. On Arba'een, millions of people from around the world walk from dash to dash. People walk from Najaf to Karbala. Right? That is the Arba'een walk. Right, last question. Which ziyarah do we recite on the day of Arba'een? Ziyarat Ashura, Ziyarat Arba'een, or Ziyarat Warisa? The special ziyarah is Ziyarat Arba'een. Right? Okay, well done. All right, so that is all for today. We looked at, how everybody, all of us are remembering Imam Hussein on the day of Arba'een, and we especially looked at what's happening in Karbala. We looked at the walk that takes place from Najaf to Karbala, and in that walk, we looked at the qualities that we see in the people during the Arba'een walk. There are qualities of selflessness, there's humanity, of generosity, and these are actually the values that Imam Hussein stood for and represented in Karbala, right? And so we can see that today. We can see what Imam Hussein taught us and the message that he spread through the tragedy of Karbala. We can see that today. We can see everyone following Imam Hussein. And may Allah, grant us all the opportunity to visit Imam Hussein on the day of Arba'een next year, and we are all able to take part in the walk from Najaf to Karbala. Right, so that is it for today. Thank you for listening. Khuda Hafiz.
जबरदा सर से चुनी मैं सदा देती रही तू ना आया हाजी जबरदा सर से चुनी मैं सदा देती रही तू ना आया हाजी आ गई शाम अलम लुट गए अहले हरम रेता पर जलती हुई हो गया ठंडा आलम फुर्सत देने के लिए मुझसे मिलने के लिए आ गए बाबा अली तू ना आया गाजी जबरदा सर से चुनी मैं सदा देती रही तू ना आया गाजी क्या कहूँ शेर मेरे पेरेदा हमको लिए ये मुसलमान सारे शहर दर शहर गए खिलकत कूफा कभी खिलकत शाम कभी बारहा हम पे हंसी तू ना आया गाजी जब रिदा सर से चुनी मैं सदा देती रही तू ना या गाजी हमको पानी ना मिले तेरी खुशबू तो रहे तेरी बाजू ना कटे चाहे मशकी जाच दे ये मगर हो ना सका तेरे बाजू है जुदा मुझ पे है तशना लबी तू ना या गाजी जब रिदा सर से चुनी मैं सदा देती रही तू ना या गाजी لبيك يا مولا حسينا لبيك يا حسين لبيك يا مولا حسينا لبيك يا حسين 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 لبيك يا مولا حسينا لبيك يا حسين لبيك يا مولا حسينا لبيك يا حسين Call us to you, O my master Husseina Wala Zaraman Insa Husseina Call us to you, O my master Husseina Wala Zaraman Insa Husseina We only have one wish to visit Karbala. People come to this land to visit Abu Abdullah. To visit Abu Abdullah, I only wish to be your servant, Mawlana. I want to be the one to be the soldier. I will not forget the day of Ashura until the last breath. Wallah Zara, we will not forget. Wallah Zara. You will always be remembered, Husseina. Wala Zara man insa Husseina. Call us to you, O my master Husseina. Wala Zara man insa Husseina. Call us to you, O my master Husseina. Wala Zara man insa Husseina. People come. So many people walk from so far. From Najaf to Karbala, they shining like the stars, shining like the stars. This is my only dream, that there will come a day when everyone will say, Karbala is our way. My life is for him, no one will ever take away. This is my promise, Wallah Zara. This is my promise, Wallah Zara. You will always be remembered, Husseina. Wallah Zara, man insa Husseina. Call us to you, O my master Husseina. Wallah Zara, man insa Husseina. Call us to you, O my master Husseina. Wallah Zara, man insa Husseina. Your name is called by each and every nation, each and every nation, each and every nation. We teach this to our future generation, future generation, future generation. We will keep alive your dedication. We will learn from your strength and patience. Your flag flying high is our inspiration. You know what we are blessed, Wallah Zara, by holding your flag, Wallah Zara. You will always be remembered, Husseina. Wallah Zara, man insa Husseina. Call us to you,